split, you got to go in and edit it.
Here, I just followed you. My wife did.
Which I forgot to do it on my Twitch.
It'd be cool if I set this up to do on my stream too, just because of how many people are watching it on my feed.
Yeah. Actually, well, I'll discuss something with you later. I'm already broadcasting on YouTube.
Okay.
Stand by, folks.
I like your little preview. That's pretty cool.
Hey, everybody. I'll wait for a few more people to join in with us. And while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and play a little intro.
Look at that, guys. Photo pod on the stream. There it goes.
Now we're going to get up here. We're going to find a place to pull over. And maybe up here on top of this road and see if we can see one. But I don't know. They're going parallel to each other. And David is T-O-R-R.
I like how you have this set up. That's pretty cool.
Tornado warning for northeastern Benton County in northwestern Arkansas.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool.
Carroll County in northwestern Arkansas.
Hey, Nancy, over on my YouTube. Thanks for joining. Maureen. Tim, thanks on the YouTube. And Sean, Josh, and Rick.
It's hitting stuff. Oh, no. It just hit something. It just hit something. Debris in the air, guys. That's not good. It just smacked something. Tornado damage.
Burn
Oh
up.
no, it's hitting stuff.
Thanks for joining me over on my YouTube.
Tree. It's hitting stuff bad,
Hey,
bad,
Phillip.
bad.
Thanks for joining my Twitch. And what you're all watching while we're waiting for more people going in, these are just some of the video that Dave Baxter got near Wichita Falls, actually in Dean, Texas.
Your stream just went back down again, David.
And this
Look
all
at
happened
that!
right around 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Man, that was amazing. Just flat amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I did that. XSplit's got a mind of its own this week. Come on, switch. It went to the wrong monitor for some reason.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's not one to switch. There we go. Okay, folks. With me today, I've got probably one of the luckiest tornado chasers on the Stormview Live team. But actually, he's very excellent at analyzing storms and going after them. Mr. David Baxter. For those of you that's not watched him before, he's been with our team for quite some time, and I have a good time helping him. Again, this was the chase near Wichita Falls, Texas, in Dean, just outside of Dean, Texas. And I'll show you some radar clips and that as we go along here tonight, and we'll show you some more of the clips and that. But welcome, David.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
So, as we get started here, folks, if you guys got any questions, either on my YouTube or over on my Twitch, please type them into the chat, and I'll try to get to them as we can. I've got my own questions for David. And let's switch over to some of this video. Yeah, let me get her going here. I forgot to... Okay, David, well, before we get this started, I want to play this. When did you actually start chasing?
Look at that, guys. Funnel cloud on the stream.
I've been chasing since early 2011, 2012, right around that time frame. Just the storm chasing aspect, I wanted to get out and see bigger things than just the typical Ohio storms. But yeah, I know. But when I was a kid, I just loved watching the weather, lightning, the Weather Channel. I was glued to it. Jim Cantori was my idol. Just loved watching him. Then as I grew older, like Reed Timmer and all those guys, they used to chase and go after the storms. And I was like, hey, I want to do that one day.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I did. And I just learned everything I could. I have 3.5 years, almost 4 years in a meteorology degree done. So that does help a lot, but I need to finish it. Yep. I just need to finish that eventually one day, but it helped a lot. But I just love everything that has to do with the weather, and I really like chasing these type of storms. I chase everything. I chase hurricanes, snowstorms, flooding, wind, anything.
You think you'll chase a hurricane this year?
I hope so. I chased the Category 5 Hurricane Michael last year. That was fun. Destroyed my car, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
I don't know why. You're not choppy on my Skype feed, but for some reason you're choppy going out on the XSplit. But we'll continue on. And I'll go ahead and start this video and kind of take us through what was going on this day.
There it goes.
Yeah, so even before these storms happened, I was chit-chatting with you and Philip and a couple others up on the Zillow app.
Tornado, guys,
and,
look at that.
I wasn't so sure that this
Beautiful rope tornado
boundary,
on the ground.
stationary boundary that was set up across the western half of Oklahoma was going to do anything. I was thinking that the storms were going to form out ahead of it and tap into those better southeasterly winds and dews and a little bit better helicity values that were showing up on the mesoanalysis. But a couple things started showing up that were concerning, and one of which the SPC highlighted in a mesoscale discussion for a mesovortex low that was starting to form on the stationary boundary. And that often can lead to some promising things, especially with a low that's starting to have height falls decrease, and that usually in turns means that you're going to get a little bit stronger pressure gradient, and it'll start pulling some of your surface winds toward the low.
Maybe it'd be a good time to kind of bring up that radar.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see where the stationary boundary is on there, absolutely. So you can see the stationary boundary on that first severe warning just off to the west. And you can see the tornado warning that goes up closer to where north of the Wichita Falls area. But if we pause it where that storm is in the Wichita Falls area, and you zoom in on that, Barry, I can kind of explain a little bit to why I made the decision to drive south instead of west or north. The way these storms are kind of situated on that meso-low boundary, that Wichita Falls storms was sitting out ahead of everything, and it's going to be getting all of that warm, juicy inflow. And I made the decision to drive southwest. I was kind of hesitant at first, but I was like, I think this storm's in the right position. It's going to have the best southeasterly winds coming into it. It doesn't have anything interfering with it for the time being. So that's what I went with, and we ended up getting in position for an excellent show. So
cool. That's I had kind of some high hopes for the one that was over here closer to the Fredericks radar site, but it was so close to radar site I really couldn't tell a lot. And then when this one down here at Wichita Falls, as you all can see here, when it loops back around again, there was nothing there to start out with. And like David was saying, with all the conditions and everything, it just blows up. It starts right there. And
it was in the perfect environment, and it didn't have anything interfering with it. And the kind of recipe for the storms that we had on that Tuesday, the 30th, was that the storms were going to produce tornadoes early on in the life cycle of the storm, because there was going to be a lot of storm mergers. The way the environment was on a positive tilt trough is that, and especially with the no cap and a couple other factors that were leading into that, you get a lot of storm merging and a lot of storms that are blowing up with no cap and 4,000 cape. So you have to get on the storms early on in their life cycle, and that's what this storm did. Was it produced the tornadoes right after the storm formed in Wichita Falls.
I tell you what, at this point right here, I was really liking the hook on it. And I'll check this out, folks. Let me switch colors here. You can see a well-defined hook, and right here's your inflow notch. And so, I was really thinking that something was going to produce at that point, but then when I went and looked at SRV, it's just ugly. There just wasn't anything there.
I see Silver Badger asking the question about an F3 this season or not. I mean, that was pretty darn close to what we just had there. That's probably going to be rated a strong EF1 or maybe an EF2. But hey, Bear, they're saying that we're getting a little bit of an echo on the Twitch. But I apologize if you guys are getting a little bit of an echo. We kind of have a little bit of a technical difficulty going on, but we'll try to do what we can do here.
Yeah, sorry about that. One of my neighbors just brought me some homemade brownies.
Nice.
Okay, let's go back to the video again and go ahead and play it some more. Now this is the first tornado, right?
That is the first tornado, yes. That is right when that first hook started really appearing up on the radar, and it briefly touched down all the way and lifted some. The evolution of that tornado lasted about a total of 4 minutes.
Trying to tighten up. David got a tornado on his screen.
It was a very weak tornado, though. But oftentimes when you get a tornadic supercell that's cyclic supercell, it'll pass off onto the next rotation. It'll start developing a new area of rotation off to its north and east of the original circulation. So that's exactly what happened. This new tornado on the right, when we had the brief twins there, started really taking over the inflow and the dynamics of the storm, and that's what led to the chase going forward.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. When you pan your camera over, and I seen this one over here on the right, and it's like, oh no, he's going to get twins. How lucky is that?
Yeah, I do believe that these were both on the ground briefly at the same time, but the circulations were invisible because it's over a grassy meadow, very grassy terrain, and there's not a whole lot of dirt right now with it being early spring. There's been a lot of rains in the area, so you don't have a lot of dust to kick up. It managed to find some, though, in this next clip that we're showing you guys here. When it starts moving into this area on the right where the power line poles are, it really started taking off and getting in a little bit of a drier area where you can see the circulation of the tornado.
Yeah, I was really worried it was going to hit those power lines and that.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty epic shot with all the arcing and stuff, but luckily it didn't.
Now, I know a lot of people ask me this when I talk about all of you guys out there chasing. Was you staying safe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, with being chasing solo, and I've been doing this for a very long time, there's a lot of different things that I do. I mean, I have a lot of different setups in the car to allow me to stay focused on what I'm doing with radar, stay focused on the road, stay focused on maps, to try and minimize any distractions and things like that. So, I mean, I always have to make sure that I have roads to get out of harm's way. I always make sure I got at least 2 or 3 angles of direction that I can go in case I get trapped in a way that, you know, if the power line pole comes down or something, I can get out of there.
Now, something I'd like to point out to everybody, you know, a lot of people think, okay, this is just a funnel, and I'm sorry for my computer lagging for some reason, but the condensation funnel isn't going all the way to the ground, but if this thing will quit lagging on me, you'll start to see some debris getting kicked up here on the ground. So that is considered a tornado. It is on the ground. And here's these power lines we were discussing. Let me pause this for a minute and see if I can get my computer quit lagging. I think it might have been a bad idea to do 2 broadcasts at the same time. Yeah, with Skype. But your Skype's fine here on my number 4 monitor. And I'm not pushing my processor 100%, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's always going to be technical difficulties, so we'll work through them.
Yeah, you know, I must apologize, folks. This is the first time trying this, okay? So, you know, this was going to be kind of iffy tonight, but I apologize if everything's not perfect. Things will get better on the next one. And this is what I love coming up here, the multi-vortex. Doggone thing. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause that because it's just lagging too much. But at one point there was just so much of the multi-vortex going on without the condensation funnel coming on all the way down.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really cool.
And let's go ahead and take the radar ahead at this point. Now, David, when that second tornado came down, he did actually call the National Weather Service.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my goal is every time that I'm out, assuming that I have data, most of the time I do with the setup that I have. The first thing I try to do, if there's a funnel cloud, wall cloud, hail, whatever, I try to make sure I make a report It's kind of a active duty to do that as a storm chaser. I'm not here just to make video and sell and other things, just for personal things, but I'm here to also to alert the community that's in the path of the damage or damaging
that's what Stormview
whatever.
Live is all about, man. Trying to
Yep,
save people's
so-
lives.
Every time I use Spotter Network, which is a widget that you can have in your computer that'll automatically track where you're at, and all you have to do is click on a button, and it'll bring up the local National Weather Service office to call. Most of the time, I make phone call reports, because sometimes when you make a data report, it's not taken as seriously. When you can interact with somebody and explain to them what they're seeing, what you're seeing, and being as accurate as possible, it really credits the report. And within about 2 or 3 minutes of me making a report, that the storm that I was on went tornado reported, which is a higher level tornado warning. That way people can take shelter that are in the box that they put out. So it's definitely a good thing to do. It only takes 30 seconds of your time,
Right.
and it helps you. It helps to alert the community or the people that are in the path of the potential tornado or damaging tornado in this case.
What I'd like to point out here for everybody is yes, there is a hook on this thing, but it's not really all that impressive.
Yeah, it definitely was an LP supercell. It didn't have your typical big hug, big hail. Not a lot of hail in this thing. It was just really ingesting those enhanced helicity values and southeasterly winds with the better shear up on top, with that little mesovortex low that was starting to form on the surface front.
And here you can see where the actual tight rotation is. Again, like I told everybody, if you don't know already, I preach it quite a bit. The greens are going towards the radar site, which is up to the northwest, and reds are going away from the radar site. So you could see right here that she was really starting to tighten up. And when I go to correlation coefficient, this blue right here, that's actually the debris signature. And David, you think this is the larger of the two tornadoes?
I think that was right before the larger, when it started to plant on the ground. I think if you play a couple more frames when you see it on the radar, it'll really start to deepen in, and that's when it really started getting strong, when the pronounced debris signature started to show on that, as it moved off to right there. Right where you'd had that at is when it was really starting to show that pronounced.
Yeah, okay, that was the strongest debris signature right there.
Yep.
So, talk about some of the damage that you did see.
Yeah, so in the tornado video itself, there's two different scenes where you have right here, and hopefully this will work here for you, but maybe not. But there was large trees and different things getting launched into the air of the tornado.
Let me switch over to that intro, because I think it's going to work better. And get into this. And this is crazy.
Look at that, guys. Funnel cloud on the stream.
Yeah, right here is where that first tornado was starting to reach down to the ground.
Now we're gonna get up here. We're gonna come.
And then the twins.
Pull over, and maybe up here on top of this road,
It's hitting stuff bad.
and see if we can see one.
But I don't know. They're going parallel to each other.
There it is.
And David
That's
did
playing a lot better, isn't it?
TORR.
Yeah.
There is cuts here.
Western Arkansas,
this is the part that I
northwestern
think you're
Carroll
talking about.
County, and northwestern Arkansas.
Yeah, as it hits this tree grove up here, it switched from being in like a grassy meadow with the multi-vortex, and it started getting into a much dirtier field. That's when the vortex really started to show its ugly face with the multi-vortex there. You can see the multiple vortices, and then the trees getting launched into the air there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then here in a sec, the even larger trees get launched.
Yep. Yep.
And you really got excited on that.
Yeah, I was worried because I thought it was so hard to see because it was like a mile and a half away. I thought it was actually hitting a structure, but luckily it was just hitting a patch of trees, which is a good thing. So, I mean, at this point it wasn't creating any, damage to anybody's houses just yet, but it launched a huge tree just prior to that. And then this is when it started to fully condense on the ground up here.
Again, you can really see that there's no condensation funnel all the way down, but you can see the multi-vortex is spinning around on the ground.
Yep, absolutely. You can see the multi-vortex clearly. And then right here, it hits a structure and it tears it up pretty good. So this is when it started doing tornado damage to a property. So, and at the very bottom, you can see a house getting a house or a structure definitely getting its roof or something taken off.
So, how does that feel, man? To be out there, I'm trying to get my scene switched over here. How does that feel to be out there on something like that?
I mean, I did something like that similar last year with the Tescott tornado. It's definitely, it's exciting for sure. It's mind blowing what you're looking at, but it's really cool to document and see that stuff.
I know that the first time I went out tornado chasing, which was years and years ago, man, that first time was just, the adrenaline rush was just awesome. And then the more I chased, it just, I don't know, for me, the adrenaline factor of it just got better and better.
Big tornado!
And I just wanted to go chase even more. It's like, give me 10 tornadoes in one day.
It's getting strong! It's getting really strong!
Yeah, the most I've ever had in one day was, I believe, 10, and that was in Cope, Colorado last year with all the land spouts.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That was awesome.
Yep.
Any questions over on my YouTube or my Twitch chat? Anybody else got any questions for David?
I saw that Silver asked about entertaining a video showing my setup, and that's something I could put on my YouTube or my Facebook just so you can see what the setup in the car looks like. It's very, oh hey, my dog's gonna eavesdrop in on this, but got a German Shepherd, his name's Lunar. Hi buddy.
Hey, Leonard.
Hey there,
dog.
buddy. Yeah. So, yep. That's something I can put up on there. I have a lot of different equipment on top and things like that, so can't. On the Twitch chat, you said there was what was the question again?
What is your scariest moment chasing? Maureen Hansen.
Well, I would say probably I would have to say in Hurricane Michael.
You're not going to mention power lines, are you?
Well, that was a rookie mistake. That's probably number 2 or 3. But
this is like something between me and David when I first started out.
Yeah, that was back when I was a noob.
Okay, we got another question. DJ Dave, do you have any more plans on chasing in the plains in the coming weeks?
Oh yeah, I'm only home for 2 days. I just stopped at home to see the wife because there was going to be a slow period. I'm not sure how Sunday, Monday, Tuesday looks, so I may wait a couple more days. But I'm pretty much from last week until June 7th chasing. There's really nothing to chase, and I didn't feel like going all the way down to Mexico to chase storms today. So I just decided to take a day or two to see the wife after being gone for 5 days. So.
Now, on a personal note, somebody wants to know how much do you miss your wife when you're chasing?
Well, that's my wife asking that question, but I mean, of course I love my wife.
Wife?
Yeah. And we saw the tornado that was in Reynolds, Indiana.
That's right, you did. That's right,
Yep.
I forgot all about that.
And it roped out directly over our head, and she cried.
Your wife says no more power lines.
Yeah.
Let's see, David, why do you think you seem to track more tornadoes than most chasers?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say most chasers. There's a lot of good ones out there. I mean, it takes a lot of experience. I've been doing this since 2011 in Ohio, but since the plains since 2013. So I've been doing this, professionally for the last 3 or 4 years, but since at least 2011, so the last 8 years. I have knowledge in meteorology for the last 3.5 years that I did meteorology in Ohio State University. I have not finished, but I need to. And that's an image of my car right there, kind of a picture of what my vehicle looks like when I'm chasing. You have to learn how to read the forecasting models. You have to learn how to read surface analysis. You have to learn how to read satellite imagery. There's a lot of different variables that you have to look at to kind of pinpoint yourself in the right area. A lot of chasers just look at the SPC and say, hey, there's a highlighted area for 10%. I'm going to go there. Well, yeah, that's going to get you in the general area, but where at in that area, whether it's 100 miles wide or 500 miles wide, where at in that area do you need to be at? And that's where it really becomes tricky on figuring out where you need to be at, looking at the models, looking at the mesoanalysis, which is your real-time surface analysis of what's going on. A lot of different variables. So it's not just hey, the map says it's red here, let me go there.
Yeah, that was one thing that I see often is people start going by the models too much, and when it comes to a certain point, I mean, they only send them balloons up every so often, depending on how bad the day is, and a lot in between the balloon launches, then it's computer estimated, and so you really can't go by the models. Typically for me, I stop looking at the models for the most part, that morning. And then we start going through surface analysis and all the other things that tie into it. And like you said, even the satellite view is really important.
Yeah, I use the satellite view about the first about 2 hours prior to initiation, because that'll really tell you where the dry line's at. It'll really tell you where maybe an outflow boundary sits. It may tell you, hey, there's some dusty air coming in past the dry line, higher up in the atmosphere, which could lead to, if you get some drier air aloft, that could lead to a more downburst type of storm, which is a squall line or a storm that has downdraft winds instead of, tornado potential. So you have to look at a lot of different fine detail things that can say, hey, you need to go there.
Well, so, I knew just by looking at satellite, from the storms in Oklahoma the night before, really pushed out an outflow boundary of cold air, and just pushed it south and southwest. And when that ran into that dry line, then that's when those were going to pop down in southern Oklahoma, and the northwestern part of Texas, and sure enough, they did. So yeah, satellite view is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll also show you when the stuff's starting to initiate, and that way you can kind of get in a little bit better position when your storm does initiate to get going. I mean, yeah, you're going to see it on radar too. Normally, you'll start to see a little green or blue blip that's starting to show a tower, but that satellite is very helpful.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to figure out, okay, is there some daytime heating going on, or is it cloud cover? And I'll use the satellite to help you guys out quite a bit there. I got another question from Maureen. What is the biggest tornado you've seen?
It would be the Tescott Wedge.
I don't remember. What size was that?
It was an EF3, and I think it was just under a mile wide. I think it was rated at like 0.75, 3/4 mile or 2/3 mile.
I actually thought you had seen a bigger one than that.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. That was back in 2017. That was okay. Let me back up. So the Tescott Wedge was the most prolific, epic tornado I've seen. I mean, that was a LP supercell with a wedge on the ground. You don't get those every day.
No.
The strongest tornado I have seen is an EF4 in Ava, Illinois. At nighttime, it was the Perryville wedge that tracked to the north and east. That was a 180 mile an hour EF4 wedge.
Wow. Yeah, that one was a monster if I remember right.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, folks, is there any more questions? Not really seeing any. I think the next time that I try this, I'm not going to be dual streaming to YouTube. So, folks, please, over there on my YouTube, Maureen Hanson posted a link there in the chat. Come over to my Twitch and give me a follow there. And so you'll get notifications when I go live. Because at one point, I'm going to stop streaming on YouTube. And this is really draining my system.
I got a couple questions that just popped up. Storm
go ahead.
trails. What's the longest track tornado you have chased? That's going to be the same tornado, the Ava Perryville tornado. I think that tracked almost 75 miles or so.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's another one by was that Sean Gray? Isn't that your son?
Yeah, that's my son.
Yep. So do you ever get scared out there? I was scared in Hurricane Michael a little bit. Yes. That was. I was not expecting to have a 160 mile an hour, maybe 170 now from what I hear. Category 5 striking a hotel. That was.
They took it up by a mile per hour and made it a Cat 5.
Yep. Did I track the Katy, Oklahoma tornado? Man, I wish I would have, but no, I did not.
By the way, that's Philip McGee.
Yeah, I know. That's Philip. Yep. Let's me, you, and Barry go chase. Yeah, one day, right?
Yeah.
Are you the only chaser that has caught a tornado in Iowa? Probably with Stormview Live. Yeah. I don't know. We always seem to bust in Iowa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because you had to pinpoint a target on the dot, or you wouldn't have saw it.
Yeah. Iowa's really hard to chase.
I like chasing Iowa if it's northern Iowa. I mean, it's wide open up there.
Yeah, northern. Well, that's about like with Illinois too. Northern part ain't near as bad as I will not chase below Lincoln.
I think Illinois is good if you're north of I-70.
Yeah,
it's manageable.
Yeah, you get to the south and there's no cell coverage and real hilly.
Yeah, I got a checklist before I leave. I normally make sure I have clothes on my back, all my equipment, my chase with several cameras, GoPros. I have a professional camera, a Nikon D750 with multiple lenses. I got signal boosters, I got data cards, I got. I mean, you can name it. There's a lot of different things that I have in the car.
I got a question coming, on that same line. What kind of emergency equipment do you carry?
I have a bin in the car that has like toe straps. I have a little mini first aid kit, but I'm not really 100% like an EMA dispatcher or anything like that. I'm not like a volunteer firefighter. I mean, I'm first aid certified, so I do know how to give first aid.
Nice.
I did that at work when they offered it, and I was able to become first aid and CPR certified, so that's good. But I just have a little mini emergency pack that could help with like lacerations or things like that. So if it's bigger stuff, you gotta get people that are trained in there. That's not what I'm for. So.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll wind us up. I know David's had a long day at work, and I know he's hungry. So, not seeing any more questions.
Well, hey, it's been a good time.
Yeah, Dave, there's my ghost again. Daggone tri-dep. It wants to cover your car up.
That's okay.
Oh, love cheap programs. Anyway, David, I want to thank you very much for doing this with me tonight and helping me on my first time ever doing this. And thanks for all the fans for watching. Again, for those of you over on YouTube, be sure and join my Twitch channel, because next time I do one of these interviews, it's only going to be on Twitch. So, good night, David, and say good night to your wife and your dog.
Yeah.
And
Right
thanks
here.
everybody for joining me, and y'all have a blessed night, and we'll catch you on the next chase.
Absolutely.